What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about words that Britain and America use differently. You know, growing up as an American, I thought that there were a few words that British people use differently, or some British slang, a couple words here and there that were different. But I never anticipated just how many differences there really are between British and American English. It's kind of crazy. So these are words that are commonly used in both Britain and America, but have entirely different meanings, as if this wasn't all complicated enough. So let's take a look and try to set the vocabulary record straight. Hole in the wall. Hole in the wall? Okay. Not what I expected. Is this a saying in Britain as well? This is like a phrase that's kind of used in America. A hole in the wall? I mean, it's like a dingy little bar or something. Like, oh, I'm gonna go get a drink at the local hole in the wall. Do British people use it like that? Or a hole in the wall? What could that mean in Britain?
Yes, ending up inside a hole in the wall might sort of draw up images in your head of a wrecking ball, but in neither country does it really mean that. In America, where I live, a hole in the wall is simply a kind of dingy bar or restaurant, potentially in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, literally. Yes, exactly. That's what I thought. Like, this isn't the most commonly used phrase in America by any means, but most Americans know, like, oh, a hole in the wall. Like, yeah, like a sort of a crappy bar or something. Or so this is a phrase in Britain, but it means something totally different.
It's somewhere you don't really want to end up, but you'll go there if you're looking maybe to save money. And that brings us on to the British definition. A hole in the wall has nothing to do with an eatery or drinking establishment. We have plenty of names for those. But it's simply where you get your money from. In other words, an ATM, or as we also call it in Britain, a cash machine.
Cash machine? ATM? Hole in the wall? Oh my gosh, this this is like the biggest difference I've ever heard of between a definition of a phrase. Like in America, it means something completely different than in Britain. Oh my gosh. I've never heard that before. A hole in the wall being an ATM. I also didn't know that you call it a cash machine. Although that makes sense. Like that's very literal. ATM gives you cash. It's a machine. Cash machine. Okay. Why is it called a hole in the wall? Because it's like a thing built into a wall that you get money out of. It's not really a hole though. I guess technically the money comes out of a little hole. Is that what we're getting at? I don't know, but that's interesting.
In either case, I'm just going to stop that now. In either case, you may or may not ask for one or more of these.
A bill. A bill. Okay. So this is a pretty common word in America. This means something else in Britain. So in America, this can mean like the check, a bill. Someone is billing you, charging you for an amount of money, a bill. Or it can be like money, like a monetary note, like a bill, a $1 bill. It's a pretty common name, Bill. I think that's about it. Is there something? Is it used in a different way in Britain?
Firstly, Americans abroad might go to that British hole in the wall and extract some bills. That's notes for anybody who's watching. We say notes in Britain, so a £10 note versus a $10 bill.
Oh wow. We know the word note, as in like money, but we don't really use that word. That's a very formal word in America. Like, a note, a monetary note. It's like, no, like and we definitely don't call it like a $5 note or, yes, not at all. It's a $5 bill. So that's a pretty big difference. Even though we have the word note, in America that would mean a musical note, but technically it can have to do with money. But anyway, is there another way it's used in Britain?
But if somebody, and I'm not naming any names, were to extract that money through nefarious means, then they might receive a call from the police, or as we know them in Britain, the Old Bill. There was even a television show called The Bill.
The police? The police are... How would you say this? I've never heard this before.
But to extract that money through nefarious means, then they might receive a call from the police, or as we know them in Britain, the Old Bill. There was even...
The Old Bill. It's not just the bill. You wouldn't know what I'm saying if I was like, the bill is after me! Run! It's the Old Bill? Never heard that before. Ever.
In a television show called The Bill. Come to think of it, we actually have way harsher words to describe the police in Britain, and that's just the band. And speaking of bands, that brings us on very loosely.
Wow, so that's it, huh? Yeah, Bill is quite different. He didn't even talk about like a bill that you get at a restaurant, or if you're getting charged for going to the doctor, you might get a bill. It's a check. It's like demanding money. I don't know. Does that make any sense? You don't use bill like that? That's probably the most common way of using the word bill in America is like, oh, I got a tax bill in the mail, like asking me for money, like a payment. Like, no, you don't say it like that, really?
To our next entry.
Pavement? Pavement is different? Pavement. What else can pavement mean except pavement? Okay. In America, pavement is like stuff that sidewalks are made out of? Or you don't call them sidewalks in Britain, do you? What do you call them? Oh, no. Do you know what I mean by a sidewalk? It's made out of like pavement or a driveway where you park your car, a parking lot. Road is made out of pavement. I thought it's just a building material. Is it something else?
Pavement were/are an American rock band, which is interesting because we in Britain always think that Americans don't use the term pavement because what we call pavement, they call a sidewalk.
Oh, oh, okay. So I sounded like crazy there, yes, but I was correct. British people don't say sidewalk. You actually use this word, pavement. But for us, sidewalk is made out of pavement. So you could just cut out the middleman and say, yeah, it's pavement. That's what it is. It's made out of that. And that's what you're walking on, pavement. So, there's an argument that it makes more sense, the British term, pavement. But in America, this word does exist, for sure. It's not like we don't say it. It's just referring to a building material, the material, pavement. That is what creates sidewalks and roads and stuff. So that's a little difference.
But pavement still has its use here, as I found in a video I did not too long ago. People in the comments of that very video were telling me, oh, you've got it wrong, a pavement doesn't mean sidewalk. It can mean any kind of paved surface, but very specifically, the surface of a road or a street.
Yes.
And along said street, you might have some row houses, as they say in the United States, or terrace houses, as they say in Britain. And I've just realised I did this very video the other week, so you don't need all that again. But what I failed to do in that video, on purpose, I knew what I was doing, is that building that could be attached to the house, or at least on the grounds where you keep your car. Put it in reverse.
Huh? Oh, that was a segue into the next word. Garage. How do you say that in Britain? Garage? Or is that right? Or anyway, this is a garage. Very American here. This is something that you park your car inside of. and it's attached to your house, a garage. I don't possibly see how this could be different in Britain. A garage is a garage, right? Right?
Yes, it's a garage, and I don't know why I'm giving it the big eyes, probably just to make it seem a little more exciting. But in Britain, we might also pronounce it as garage, emphasizing
Right.
strongly that first syllable as opposed to how Americans might pronounce it, which might be along the lines of garage, second
Yes.
syllable. But there are some interesting facts about garages. You might be watching this thinking, don't you park your car in a garage in Britain? Yes.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. That's literally what I'm thinking. So yes, British people do park in a garage. So what, is there any difference here?
We do, just as you do in America. But beyond the place where you put your car and your discarded vinyl records, there are other ways to use this word depending on which country you're in. And in fact, both do pertain to parking your car. Just not at home. So in the United States, a parking garage is where multiple people will park their car at once on multiple floors.
Yes.
So, you know, at a convention
Yes.
center or downtown Denver because you're going to go watch the Broncos play. I don't know why I use Denver as the example. Most
Yes, there's a parking garage, which is like a public parking area with lots of different levels and space and parking spots to park cars. Is there a different word for that in Britain?
cities have them. And in Britain, we call this a multi-story car park, or, you know, car park for those of you that speak English. And
What is it? Car park? Is that what he said? Car park? A park for cars? Like you go to the park and play with your dog, but it's for cars. I've never heard of a car park.
of course we do that because in Britain we love to be over-wordy, especially when we're describing something that's already big to begin with. So how do we in Britain quite uniquely use the word garage? Well, this is an interesting one because remember that whole petrol station versus gas station thing? In other words, in Britain
Okay.
we say petrol station, here you usually say gas station.
Okay.
We might also call it a garage, specifically when we're referring to a particular one. So I went to the
Wait, what? A gas station, or excuse me, a petrol station can be called a garage? That's just confusing to me. Interestingly, though, it does remind me that in America, sometimes an auto repair shop can be called a garage or a auto repair garage. Sort of. That would kind of make sense. But certainly not a petrol station is a garage.
BP garage. I went to the Shell garage. That's not really a term I've heard much in the different parts of the United States that I've been to.
No.
Doesn't
No, that's not a thing. No, that is not a thing, never a thing. A garage is only a place you park your car, really.
mean it doesn't exist here. Same with all of the different usages on here. You might find instances of both crossing over, but they're more likely to be in the other country that I'm listing here than the other. Sorry, that sentence was absolutely terrible. Of course, one thing you might not want to try to park in a multi-story park arc is the following.
A caravan. Oh my gosh, a caravan. This is a word that, you know, we are taught as Americans, but you never hear someone say caravan ever. I think it's a type of car brand, technically. Like, I don't know who makes it, but there's a caravan but the word caravan, if it's not the brand name in America, gosh, it's like a group of people traveling. Like talking about thousands of years ago, medieval knights traveling in their caravan to a castle. Like, I don't know. We do not use this word in America. We just don't.
That is, unless you're referring to the American English usage, which typically is a type of minivan. Indeed,
Yeah.
Chrysler in the 19th
That's what I was thinking of. Like, it's a type of car, it's a type of minivan. Okay, that's true.
1980s rolled out a series of minivans that had caravan in the title. So you had
Yeah.
the Dodge Caravan. So in this regard, it's sort of a branding name. And I don't know whether that car really made it over to Britain. But what we call caravan in Britain is what Americans would call a trailer or a travel trailer. Do you see?
Oh, a trailer. Do you have the word trailer in Britain? Maybe not. A caravan is a trailer, something you pull behind your car. And some people live inside of trailers. Ah, okay.
See what I meant when I said you couldn't get one of those into a multi-story car park? So I got it right this time. Now, once again, you might be watching this, particularly if you are an American, and thinking, hello, there is actually another type of caravan. Remember the migrant caravan in 2018, for example? Yeah, well, the thing is, we use that term in Britain too, so I didn't want to include it in this. That's that mutual usage of the term caravan.
Oh, okay. So, again, like, I'm telling you, we don't say the word caravan very often. If someone says caravan, I'm like, whoa, Mr. Fancy over here, caravan. It's like, okay, but it does have that sort of meaning of a group of travelers in both Britain and America, I guess.
Which simply means sort of an overland trading convoy of people. Sometimes they might move on foot, which is, certainly one way to get around. Another way is this.
A trolley. Oh, a trolley. This is another word this is such a British word. I don't know why I think that, but it just is, in my mind, it's such a British word. It's because we heard it in Harry Potter so much. That's how Americans know what a trolley is. In Britain, I think, there's the sweets trolley on the Hogwarts Express, like in Harry Potter, where it's like a cart. It's like a candy cart where they're pushing around treats to sell. And they're like, anything from the trolley, dear? And it's like, oh, that's a trolley? In America, a trolley? It can be like this metal thing that pushes boxes around. Other than that, we don't really say the word trolley at all.
And I mean that in both senses of the word. I mean, we've all been children, right? And asked our parents to push us around in the trolley / shopping cart, because that's what it is in Britain. It is indeed what Americans would call a shopping cart.
Oh, it's a shopping cart. Oh, yeah, that's not at all what I was thinking of. Yeah, in America, it's a shopping cart. That thing at the grocery store you push your food around in. No, we would never call that a trolley. I've actually never heard that before. I didn't know British people called a shopping cart a trolley.
But we do have some other creative uses for trolley in Britain. Take, for example, being off one's trolley. It just means insane, which is a perfect descriptor for the English language, particularly.
Off your trolley. Off your trolley. In America, we say someone's off their rocker. I don't even know what a rocker is, like a chair, a rocking chair. Off your rocker, off your trolley. Means you're crazy, okay.
Particularly in Britain, it seems. Imagine telling somebody who's learning English for the first time that you're absolutely off your trolley and you're going to go and take £5,000 from a hole in the wall. They'd probably take up French instead, which reminds me, the French Quarter, New Orleans, a streetcar named Desire. It's a play by Tennessee Williams. That's not important right now. What is important is the word streetcar, because trolley is employed to mean a streetcar in the United States. And
I don't know about this. Maybe if you look it up on Google, technically there's a definition in American English that a trolley is a streetcar. Yeah, I guess I can see that. I guess I've heard that somewhere. A lot of America doesn't have street cars. These are cars that drive around in cities that have like rails built into the road. Public transportation. We don't have this much at all, and basically nowhere except huge cities in America. So we don't even use the word streetcar that much, let alone a trolley. Huh.
That's exactly what back home we would call a tram. Anyway, it's time to brace yourselves for our penultimate entry, which I very slyly more or less inserted into this sentence.
Braces! Oh, this is a fun one. Braces means something else in Britain? Because this is a medical device in America. Braces are things that go on your teeth to straighten your teeth. They have like rubber bands and metal on your teeth. Braces. Yes, very, very, very common word in America. So what do you call that in Britain if those aren't braces that go on your teeth? And then what do braces mean in Britain?
Ah, yes, braces. Where would American teeth be without them? Because in America, it's a device for straightening your teeth. And in Britain, it's also that. Who'd have thought? I didn't even know we...
What? It is? What? This doesn't even count then. Braces are braces in Britain. That could be like the start of a poem. Braces are braces in Britain and places. Like, okay, I gotta stop.
We had dentistry. So that's not where the meaning of the word differs, and I suppose that's where these come in, isn't it? I'm not going to do a song and dance.
Suspenders? The straps on your that keep your pants up. Are braces. That's totally different. I'm not saying these are that common in America, but this has a name and they're called suspenders. They're not super in fashion right now in America, I have to say, but everyone knows what suspenders are. In Britain, they're braces, but that's also what goes on your teeth. Okay.
The point is, in Britain, we call these braces, whereas Americans call them suspenders. And I suppose when you think about it, these braces almost do the same thing as these braces. I'm not wearing any, just so we're clear. In that, they offer physical support. It's to make sure that things aren't crooked, right? And the same is true of a third definition employed here in the United States to mean leg supports. In other words, those things that young Forrest Gump wore and then improbably broke out of when Jenny told him to run.
Oh, yeah, I guess, like a brace. There's like a general word, a brace. That's anything that braces anything. And that could include a leg brace. Again, not very common, but sure, something that surrounds your leg and helps hold it up and brace it would be a brace. That's not very common, I gotta say.
In Britain, we usually call those calipers, a word that does have currency in the United States, although it's spelled differently. 2 L's in Britain, 1 L in America. And not to be outdone...
Calipers. Again, this is not a very common thing to say in normal everyday conversation, so that makes it kind of strange too.
What we call in Britain curly brackets, that's those sort of squiggly brackets, hence the name curly brackets. Americans might call those braces as well. Okay.
Do we call these braces? I don't think so. Maybe. Mostly brackets. We say brackets as well. Yeah, unless I'm forgetting something. Yeah, I don't think I would call those braces. But at the same time, maybe I've heard that. Maybe. This one's kind of iffy.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the point in our video for the final entry. And when I say ladies and gentlemen, I mainly mean the men. Or should I say, this.
Oh! The chaps! Oh, God, chaps? This is a super British word as well. I forgot about this word. Chaps. In Britain, I don't know why, but Americans have... we've heard this word. I don't know why. It's kind of like a stereotypical British word in America. I don't know. Maybe that's random. But it's because, Brits say, hey, chap. How's it going, chaps? It means, buddy, friend. Right? Isn't that right? Or it sounds kind of funny in America because we don't use it like that. We barely ever use this word because it means leather padding that goes on your legs if you're riding a horse. That's what, from what I'm aware of, that's what chaps are.
I told you it was going to be hilarious or depressing. I should say that I'm having a great time personally, but that could be because, and you don't know this, I'm only wearing underpants under here. These are dangerously attached, don't get me wrong. But there is a type of legwear that I could be wearing, in theory, under here. It's just I would sweat profusely, and that is chaps.
Yes.
Chaparrajos, it comes from Nuevo Spanish, and they were famously worn by cowboys and Madonna for a time. That was a phase. And in Britain, of course, that meaning of chaps doesn't carry as much weight. We usually use the word chaps to describe a group of gentlemen. Actually,
Okay, so it's just a group of men is chaps. They're not necessarily... I thought it was had a friendly connotation. If you're called, hey, chaps, it's like you're being friendly. Is that true at all?
In recent times, kind of like the word guys in American English, it's become a little more gender neutral to describe just people in general. In fact, it's kind of being usurped in Britain by the word guys as we speak. It could be that if I do this video again in 100 years' time, the word chaps will have become archaic. I'll also be dead, so don't hold your breath, because then you'll also be dead. That's it.
Okay. chaps is losing popularity. Oh no, I like the British use of chaps. That's like the most British thing ever. Hey, chaps. How you doing? That's interesting though. This whole video was pretty interesting. I did not realize there are so many words that actually exist in both of our countries. But it's confusing because they have different meanings. But this helped clear up some of that for me. I had no idea about most of this, honestly. So this is actually pretty fun. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on any of these British words that mean something else in America, or that'd be fun to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Britain and British culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.